Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining our very first endodontics keynote. We're so glad to see that community coming together from all over the world for this event. In the next 30 minutes, we'll dive deeper with our guest speakers on the clinical aspects of endodontics. Before that, we'll share our fresh outlook on how we're preparing for the future of endo. For decades, dentists all over the world have saved millions of teeth with our products. Imagine all the smiles you have preserved. We'll continue providing you with the products you need to keep that world smiling. But we also see the world is changing, and so is our market. There are new challenges emerging, and we need to think differently. What does the global market endo look like today? Every month, a new generic endo instrument is released. Every month, the choice becomes more complex for dentists. The market offering is overcrowded and hard to read. Let's think differently. Instead of only talking about products, let's talk about you, clinician. And it starts with, what are your endo goals? Every clinician has a different background, a different clinical environment, a different endo aspiration. That's why we offer 3 procedure brands, each with its own purpose, its own endo goal. WaveOne Gold, ideal for clinicians who value simplicity, safety, reliability, whose priority is to stay zen. ProTaper Ultimate, the latest evolution of our iconic ProTaper line, designed for clinicians who focus on performance, who want to take on all anatomies and who want to grow their endodontic activity. And TrueNatomy, engineered to maximize natural dentin preservation and destined to clinicians who put a prime focus on dentin preservation and tooth preservation. We know some of you love one of these 3 brands and use it exclusively. And we know many of you will mix 2 or 3 of these brands. That's great. After all, not everyone is in the same situation. What's also great is the new approach we've taken on those treatment options. In the last 2 years, we have increased our emphasis on the treatment thinking. Across the Dentsply Sirona endodontics group, we prototype, we engineer, we produce, we test. Basically, we live with a procedure mindset. Shaping, cleaning, obturation has become our new mantra, where all products of the clinical sequence seamlessly work together. You want an efficient canal cleaning? You need to have the right shape. You want tight obturation all the time? You need files that behave consistently throughout. It's all linked. So yes, we do manage our portfolio differently. And yes, we look at procedures differently. We're also thinking differently about our planet, focusing on preserving resources. Take this booth here. It is made of 100% recycled material. Some of this furniture made with used plastic bottles, and some of that is going to be given to a local institution. Our business travel reduced by 2-fold over the last 3 years. And take this solution kit here. We've just transformed the outer packaging with a new material that is 100% made of old paper. Those are small steps, and we know it's not enough. But step by step, we will continue making changes that will benefit the climate. This is our common challenge. That being said, let's return to our 3 procedure brands, and let's get on stage with 3 of our most brilliant clinicians. Sarah, are you ready?
Jean-Marie, thank you. We're ready, and it's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here tonight with Dr. Willem Pertot from Paris, one of the designers of the WaveOne Gold system, and Dr. Laura Andrukaitene from Lithuania, who's been already training hundreds of dentists on our ProTaper Ultimate solution. So just a quick question before we start. Did you know that overall, over the whole of Dentsply Sirona, we do more than 20% of courses on endodontics specifically? That shows the passion, the education that our network is providing. It's quite unique. We have 43 training centers all across the world, including the factories. And it's thanks to you and all the opinion leaders who work with us, that we can educate people and add and make their days simpler. But now let's hear about WaveOne Gold with you, Willy.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. I also want to thank Dentsply team who put all this together, Dominique, Jean-Marie, and all the people around this event. So we're going to talk like 10 minutes about the WaveOne Gold system. I was lucky to be part of the designer group with my friends and co-designers, Cliff Ruddle, Julian Weber, and Sergio Cutler. And I'll take you a little bit through that system. When I say system, I really like to say more a solution, because it goes from shaping a canal after getting the glide path, to cleaning the canal efficiently, to filling the canal very easily in a three-dimensional manner. So basically, this system was designed to make endodontic treatment efficient, easy, stressless for any practitioner. Should this practitioner be a dental student? Should he be a general practitioner or a specialist? It is simple, it is safe, and it will work in any hand with a short learning curve, and we'll elaborate on this in a minute. So just a little bit history about the WaveOne Gold system. Initially, it was born following Ghassan Yared article about reciprocation with single file, using one file, finishing file 2 of the ProTaper system in reciprocation to shape canals. After that, a team was brought together with Dentsply to work on a system for reciprocation, making it easier and safer to shape a canal. And that team came up initially in 2011 by bringing on the market the first ever file working in reciprocation, and that's for history. You will have many copies, you will have different designs, different files. The truth is, the first ever file introduced on the market in reciprocation was done by Dentsply. It was the Reciproc and the WaveOne in 2011. And after a few years, working in hands-on, as Sarah said, a lot of hands-on interactions with the practitioners, learning from experience, working with it in our dental practice, well, we were able to see how we can evolve with that and make that file even better and more efficient. So when we speak about better file, efficient file, we always keep in mind the final goal of an endodontic treatment. We need the treatment, we need a technical treatment, the technical result to be good. What I mean by technical result is we shape the canals, we don't want to have any blockade, we don't want to have any transportation, and we want this canal to be shaped properly. And that will allow us to obtain the biological objectives. And if the canal is shaped properly, we're able to clean it properly with irrigating solutions. Also by cutting efficiently some dentine apically, especially in cases of infected canals. And at the end, also, we keep in mind the mechanical aspect of the tooth. We don't need to remove a lot of coronal dentine. We need to keep as much dentine as possible, remove as little dentine as possible, but always keeping in mind that we need to clean those canals. So with that in mind, doing something simple, easy, without any compromise on quality was the main objective of this file. So first thing, let me talk about reciprocation by itself, the movement. When we talk about the reciprocation movement, I already told you, and I want you to keep that in mind. Reciprocation appeared on the market in 2011, WaveOne Gold in 2015. So it has been around for, reciprocation has been around now for almost 12 years. If you take a look, there's a bunch of literature about reciprocation. And every aspect of reciprocation was studied and explored. Resistance to cyclic fatigue, resistance to torsional load, canal transportation, and all this was compared to continuous rotation, which was the gold standard, and cleaning of the canals, extrusion of debris, creation of cracks. From all this literature, all the studies have shown that when we use reciprocation, we have at least as good results as continuous rotation, in most of the cases, better in almost all aspects. One thing about it, and there is absolutely no doubt in literature in the past 12 years, reciprocation, the reciprocation movement is safer than rotary movement. It's not that Pertot is saying that or Ruddle is saying that, that's literature. The files last longer, they are more resistant to cyclic fatigue, they are more resistant to torsional load. Any system used in reciprocation versus rotation will last longer and will be more forgiving in reciprocation. We also have clinical studies on patients showing that when canals are shaped using reciprocation with a single file, fracture rate is around 0.3%, which is basically 10 to 8 times less than in continuous rotation when we compare to literature. When we take a look at literature, we have somewhere between 1.52 to 5% fractures in continuous rotation, depending on the studies. So there's absolutely no doubt that the system and the movement is probably the safest that we have today on the market. That's a fact, not subject to discussion. Now, let's talk a little bit about the file itself and the instruments. In the file itself, what we have here is we have 4 files for shaping. We have 1 file to create and to secure the glide path. After taking a stainless steel file, we are going to use 1 file that is the WaveOne Gold glider to secure the glide path, opening the pathway for the shaping files. The shaping files, we have 4 of them. The small, size 20, 7% taper. The primary, red, 25, 7% taper. The green, medium, 35, 6% taper. And the large, which is a 45, 5% taper. These files have a specific feature, which is also one of the features that was introduced on the market by Dentsply more than 20 years ago, which is the variable regressive taper on the same file. What I mean by that is those files, when I tell you it's a 7% taper, 8% taper, or whatever the taper, this taper is only on the 3 first millimeter close to the tip. And then the taper is regressive, which means that the diameter of this file, primary, 25, medium, green, large, 45, the diameter at D16 is the same for the 3 files. You go from 25 to 45, but the diameter coronally on D16, the maximum diameter of the flutes is 1.13. Which means that you are able to negotiate curves, to cut dentine apically to large diameter, large tapers if necessary, without taking out coronal dentine, because you have this reverse taper. Making a reverse taper makes the file also more flexible. Because you have less metal mass coronally, it makes it more resistant to cyclic fatigue. You add to that the fact that these files are made of heat-treated nickel titanium, and you have a very efficient, flexible file that at the same time cuts very smoothly without any screwing effect. So that's for the files. One more thing about when we shape canals with those files, we don't need, like we used to do before, relocate the canal orifices. 15 years back, we had those nickel titanium in which we tried to relocate the coronal orifice just to break a little down this curvature to make sure that we have a smaller radius of curvature. In these files, because we have smaller taper coronally, because we have more flexible files, because we have the heat-treated nickel titanium, we don't need to go brush the coronal dentine. We don't need to relocate, so we keep more dentine coronally. If we're going to discuss about the sequence, it's very straightforward, very easy. We're going to use a stainless steel file just to scout the canal. That's what I usually do. Well, in fact, I'm going to tell you one thing. In most of the cases, I don't even do that. But it's just a matter of experience. But you take a stainless steel file, size 10, you negotiate the canal, you make sure that you have a glide path. After doing that you start the motor, you start your reciprocation movement, and you go in with the WaveOne glider to secure the glide path. Once you've done that, you go with the primary, which is the workhorse, and use it as a single file technique, okay, if you wish to. And one more thing I want to say is it is very versatile. With these 4 diameters and 4 tapers, you are able to tackle almost all clinical cases. And also it's very versatile because even though it was designed to be used as a single file technique, you can use it as a sequence if you feel like it. If you feel better, you feel more comfortable using the red, the yellow, then the red, then the green, you know, the ISO color code that we all know, you can also do that. But basically, it was designed to be used as a single file technique. So, scout the canal with a stainless steel hand file, create a glide path, secure the glide path using the WaveOne Gold glider, and then go with the primary. You go in, you cut some dentine, you take it out, go deeper, cut dentine, take it out, clean the file, irrigate, recapitulate, irrigate, and you go like that with the red, and then with the red, and then with the red. Easy, efficient. Go to length, and once you're there, should you need to enlarge more, you go with a 35. If the apical diameter is 25, you can stay there. If you have apical resorption, if you have a problem and you need to go to 35, you can do so. If you feel more comfortable going with a 35, you can also do so. Again, very versatile. It allows you to shape apically to any diameter and taper you deem necessary. Once you've done that, and usually it is done in less than 2 minutes, you can shape a canal with one file in less than 2 minutes. Now your canal is ready to be cleaned. Then you're going to clean that using irrigation. These small needles, very flexible. The Irriflex, they go down the canal. They have lateral openings. It allows you to clean. One thing about that, very important. When I say that we can shape a canal in 2 minutes, it doesn't mean that we finish our treatment in 2 minutes. We have to take advantage of that time so we are able to have longer time for irrigation. Remember that irrigation is the most efficient when the shape is already done. So what you do is then you shape your canal and you take more time to irrigate, activate the solution, Endo activator, smart light, whatever. You activate the solution, and once you've done that, you refresh the solution, activate the solution, refresh the solution, spend a lot of time irrigating. This is how you get your canals as clean as possible. Once you've done that, if you have a good shape and you have a nice shape, everybody knows that you have a very easy, straightforward process. It's very easy to fill because your canal has been shaped properly. It looks like a glider. You just put your cones in there. What is very interesting is when I talked about the solution system is you have the dedicated cones that are come-from-fit cones. They also feature a regressive taper, which means that once you have a regressive taper in your preparation with an apical diameter and taper, then you have to take also cones with regressive taper. Otherwise, your cones, if they are not with a regressive taper, they might block coronally and you might not have a good tuckback. With these gutta-percha cones that are with a regressive taper, you are sure that your gutta-percha cone will snug and fit only apically without contact with the canal walls coronally, because the size and the shapes of these gutta-percha cones looks like the shape of that you have given to the canal using the files. So basically that's the sequence. So what else can I say about that? When we take a look at the studies, you see that first the file is very safe, efficient. You have almost no canal transportation. It will conform itself to the shape of the canal because these files, because of the thermal treatment, the heat treatment, they have, I don't know if we can have, yeah, they have very little restoring force. When you bend the file, let me show the camera, when you bend the file, it will stay bended, which means that you don't have this restoring force that will push the file against the canal wall, and you have less canal transportation. So it is safe, it is easy to use. When we take a look at the studies, again, it's not Perto saying, it's the studies. In studies in which these files were used by non-proficient operators, dental students, either in hands-on or in clinics, they were able to get better shapes, less problems, and better fillings and better canal treatments technically than using hand files or rotation. And when at the end of the session we asked them which movement would you like more, 70% of them will go for reciprocation. Again, these are the studies that are published. So if I'm going to summarize that, I would say that we have an efficient movement that is the safest today that we have. We have files that allow you to follow the canal curves, that gives you nice shapes. When you have these nice shapes, you are able to clean your canal, you are able to fill them. It is a system that is very easy to use with a short learning curve, and that's what we need. Especially what we need is something that is reliable and reproducible. And that's what we have here. And finally, I would say that 99% of the cases I do every day are done with the WaveOne Gold. Just let me say something just to end up this. It doesn't mean that I don't like other systems are bad. It's just that this is the system that has my preference. I like it. It works very well. I know how it works. And I'm sure also that most of the people using it, or people that are not using it, should give it a try. And at the end, the goal is to achieve an odontic treatment and be Zen. And that's what we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For this. Now let's hear about ProTaper Ultimate with you, Laura.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good night to all the friends and colleagues all over the world who is joining us for this very exciting event. For all of us, thank you, Sarah. Thanks, DS team, who are doing a great job and doing really extraordinary things. So my system of preference that I'm going to talk today is ProTaper Ultimate system, which is the 4th generation of one of the most popular systems used in the world. And it was actually designed by 3 outstanding practitioners, scientists, and educators, Dr. Cliff Riddle, John West, and Professor Pierre Machtou. And this system is teaches few things. First of all, improved file design and enhanced metallurgy to make the file more efficient, safe, and less invasive, which is in line with the modern dentistry, minimal invasive dentistry concept. But when I talk about the system, this is the same as Willy told. This is not only about files, this is about the full concept that connects irrigation, improved irrigation tools, improved activation tools, because the irrigation is so important, and some new materials that came recently in the market. So this is all connected into one smooth and continuous workflow. Talking generally about this sequence, I would point out few features. First of all is that all instruments are made from the decreased diameter wire. That's why we get much more conservative shapes at the end. Then we have so-called purpose-specific heat treatment. Therefore, we have like 3 colors of files, which is silver, gold, and blue one. And this is made to optimize the performance of these special files in a certain procedure. And then the third important feature is rotary first. That means that with one file that features very specific design, which is a slider one, we can go directly without prior use of the hand file. In some situations we can do this, in some situations we have to use the hand file, but we have a specific file just to do in a few seconds 3 very important steps in endodontics. First of all, negotiate the root canal to the apical terminus to gain the working length and to make a reproducible glide path. And these few steps, these first steps are so much important for the overall treatment outcome. So the failure in these steps may actually negatively affect the overall outcome of endodontic treatment. And it's actually well documented in numerous of articles that the rotary glide path is much more predictable than the manual glide path, and it features better maintenance of the original anatomy, less modification on the canal curvature, and less aberration of natural root canal path. So as we talk about the instruments, I start with the slider, and the slider, as I told, it's dedicated for the glide path and negotiation witut any hand file. And in 50% of the cases, we can do this without any hand filing, just going directly after the location of the orifice. So if you are not able to negotiate the root canal with the slider, you always can switch to the hand filing. And these situations are like the abrupt apical curvature or apical delta. So the main thing is that we don't have to push this file if we feel that the file do not progress. If we feel that we want to push this file, we have to go out from the canal and take the hand file. And first of all, I want to remind about the importance of the irrigation because it is the main thing that eradicates the pathogens from the root canals. And we have a very nice needle introduced quite recently, but this needle changed the irrigation protocol, change the irrigation procedure, because it goes smoothly down the apex, towards the apex, and it reaches this very important and hard to reach region. So after this slider, we go to the shaper, and this is the only one instrument which is made from the gold wire to shape the coronal and the middle part of the canal. This file is a, how did you really told, hard worker, no, working horse, yeah, something like that, horse. The working horse. It does a lot of job inside the canal, so in fact we have to irrigate in between of the phases going down towards the apex, and that will prevent pushing down the dentin chips to the apex and beyond the apex, and to press it laterally. So the more we irrigate, the more we recapitulate and agitate the irrigation solution during the procedure, during the shaping procedure, the cleaner the canal is and the better outcome we can expect. Then we go to the finishers. We have few finishers in the sequence, and the main thing is going down with the finisher to the canal, and the finisher will shape only the apical part of the canal. So actually it is not active on the middle and the coronal part of the canal, only the apical portion, and going out from the canal, we have to inspect the flutes. If the flutes are loaded with the dentin chips, we can consider that our shaping is completed, and we can go for irrigation, final irrigation protocol, and prepare for the obturation. If not, we can just continue to another shaper, and so on. So we have some auxiliary finishers that are made from the blue wire, and these are large diameters. So they are dedicated for the large canals. One features quite unique design where the flutes are located only in the apical portion of the instrument, and it works only in the apical part of the canal. And these files are working in the large canals where the coronal pre-flaring is not needed anymore because it's done by the nature. So when the obturation is done, shaping is done, we can go to the obturation. And already Willy covered a little bit told about the new gutta percha, but it is very easy because the gutta percha is produced exactly for the system, and these gutta percha cones are made using molding technique, so they actually match the corresponding size of the file perfectly, and therefore we have a nice tuck back, snug fit in the apical part of the canal, and no false grabbing in the coronal part of the canal, just because it has a variable taper. And we can use it in the technique, obturation technique that we want to use. So actually it can be a single cone technique with the bioceramic sealer, the new one, AH plus bioceramic sealer, or we can use the one vertical compaction. So I don't see any paper points on this table, but the system goes also with the special paper points that are packed in the sterile packages. So we have sterile paper points, and this is very important. And recently we have a few articles that discuss the enhanced infection control protocols published by Patel and Zahran. And I really follow these protocols. Just before going to the obturation, I change my gloves. I actually take the sterile ruler to measure my gutta percha files. Do not forget to disinfect the gutta percha points, because all these tiny, small details actually can affect significantly our overall treatment outcome. As a last thing, I want to say that this system is dedicated for the practitioners, as me, who are doing a lot of endodontics, because it is dedicated for a huge variety of the anatomies, a huge variety of the clinical cases. We can shape small, narrow canals, we can shape long canals, we can shape wide canals. But I would like also to say that on my table in my daily clinical practice, I have few more systems, and these systems are also like a reciprocating system, WaveOne Gold, for the simple cases. And I also have Trinatomy system, which is, I was so happy to have this system on my bench, because we sometimes have really, really small anatomies. We don't have to go for bigger sizes, so this system serves for that purpose in my practice. So actually there is no magic file, I guess. We are not magicians, we are clinicians, and if we respect the nature, if we respect the anatomy, the magic happens.
Thank you very much to both of you. I love your conclusion. We're not magicians, but we make magic. So this was very interesting to hear your preferences, why you use the system, even why you design the system. So thank you both very much for being with us tonight. Now, you talked about the challenge that was accepted, Jean-Marie.
We did accept the challenge. We did meet the challenge, I think. And I want to say thank you, Sarah. Thank you to our clinician who took part to this exercise. And thank you, everyone, for watching today. Let me close by saying that whatever your endo goal, we have the right solution for you with WaveOne Gold, ProTaper Ultimate, and Trinatomy. The world is changing. The endo market is changing. But we're excited about what the future holds, and we're ready to meet any challenge with you. Thanks for your time today. Visit our website, come see us in person, and let's connect on social media.
Thank you, everyone.